The next one is, if you show the symbolic formula while answering a question, do you have to explicitly name the formula?
No.
Okay.
Agreed.
The next question is, on the free response, on average, how many concepts are on each question, since the exam is covering the course as a whole?
That's a good question. I'm not sure that there's an easy answer for it. I know that when I was on the test development committee, we were very conscious of trying to match the percentages that are in the course description. Things that say like collecting data should be 10 to 15%. So we made sure that, no more than essentially one full item was about collecting data. Inference, on the other hand, was 30 to 40%. So we'd keep careful track, even if questions were split, maybe one part on question 1 and 2 parts on question 2. We'd kind of add those up to make sure that they fit within those guidelines. But inference, there's a lot of inference, right? That's 5 chapters in the book. So it could be that there might be a, one sample t interval for a mean and then a chi-square test. And we never do anything with z-test for proportions. It's just hard to know. On the multiple choice, though, of course, with 40 questions, they are able to get a lot better coverage of the entire content. So I know that wasn't an exact answer to your question, but hopefully it helps a little bit.
Thank you. The next question is from Jeff C. I always tell my students to show the work for the test statistic when conducting a hypothesis test. Yet every FR rubric indicates the student only needs to name the test or show the formula, then give the test statistics and p-value. Is there any advantage to showing the work for the test statistics? Will a student lose points for a formula shown with wrong values, but the right test statistic and p-value?
Sounded like a multi-part question, very spirited. So there is a potential advantage to showing numbers substituted into the test statistic formula, and that is if the numbers substituted into the formula make for a correct formula for the test statistic, that's going to probably be at least partial credit. If there's then a computation error on the test statistic, then we're still at partial credit. If the student does not show any work at all and just goes to stat tests and provides the wrong test statistic and wrong p-value, there's really no credit there. There's no way for the grader to have any idea probably what the student did. So I think the other part of the question was if a student shows a formula with numbers substituted in and the formula is not right, well, that's going to have to count off. So if the student gives a correct test statistic and p-value from the calculator, we're sitting with full credit for the do step. But if the student then provides a formulaic attempt to support that and the numbers are plugged in and it's not equivalent, then it sounds like we can't have full credit. Josh, would you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And what I do with my students during the year is different than the advice I'd give right now. I found that very few of my students make typos, but lots more of my students have trouble executing the formulas correctly and getting everything done that way. So my strong recommendation to my students at this time of year is to use the stat test menu for the test statistic and the p-value or the endpoints of a confidence interval, if it's a confidence interval question. Understanding that there's a risk of a typo leading to no credit, that's a much smaller risk for my students than the risk of trying to do it by hand and then messing up somehow or coming up with an answer that disagrees with the calculator answer.